is Route 31, Pittsford-Palmyra Road, and that's a tall bridge.
Can I get you guys anything to drink? You guys are all set with drinks? Oh, you're fun. You don't have Dr. Pepper on the boat. You know better than that. Water? Pepsi? How about you? They know. You want a drink?
Colonial Belle was originally named Dolly Madison. She was built in 1961 by the Blount Marine Company in Warren, Rhode Island. At first she did cruises around the Connecticut River until she was sold to Circle Line in New York City. Circle Line is now one of the largest tourboat companies in the country. She did cruises around Manhattan Island and the Statue of Liberty until she was sold to a company in Boston where she did whale watches. After that she was sold to a company down in Florida and did cruises around the Intercoastal Waterway. Then she was sold back and forth between New York and Florida a few more times until she was sold to a company out in San Francisco, California. They put her on the deck of a freighter, took her out to the West Coast, renamed her Franciscan, and she did cruises on San Francisco Bay. In 1995, my dad, Captain Lee Poynton, he started our company in 1989, but in 1995 he was looking for a larger boat. But the first challenge is, when he found this boat for sale, was how we were going to get it back from California. He looked into putting it on the deck of a freighter and bringing it back the same way that it got out there, but he learned that it was going to cost $179,000 just to bring it to New Orleans, and then he'd still have to get it the rest of the way to Fairport. So he almost didn't buy the boat. I was in high school then with what I thought were a lot of really great ideas, so I said to my parents, why don't you just drive it home then? Not fully understanding what that meant at the time. My mom said no, but eventually we talked her into it. So they boarded up the windows on the lower deck. They added a special radar system. They put auxiliary fuel tanks in the dining room downstairs, and they drove this boat down the Pacific Ocean, through the Panama Canal, up the Atlantic Ocean, down the Hudson River, and into the Erie Canal. That trip took 7 weeks, operating 24 hours a day in 1995. We had to modify the boat, though. There used to be a covering over the pilot house where I'm driving today, and also the back part of the upper deck, but all those things had to be cut off, so this vessel will fit under the low bridges here on the canal. I don't know what it cost to bring her home, but I do know that it was far, far less than $179,000. Today, Colonial Belle is the largest tour boat operating on the entire New York State Canal System. She's 60 feet long, 27 feet wide. She weighs over 110 tons. She has a single engine and prop. It's an 8V71 Detroit diesel, and she has no power stern thrusters. Structure up ahead of us is a pair of guard gates or floodgates. These gates can be lowered into the water in times of emergency or maintenance. There's a matching pair of guard gates on the other end of what's known as the Great Embankment ahead of us. The Great Embankment is about 70 to 100 feet above the surrounding land, a vulnerable area. So they have these gates so if there was a break in that area, they could lower the gates on both ends to contain the water so only the water between the gates could get out. The pool of water we're cruising in right now is 16 miles long. It starts at Lock 32 in Pittsford and goes all the way to Lock 30 in Macedon. That's an awful lot of water if we had a canal break, so this helps protect the area. The other thing you need to know about guard gates is they're very low, just like a low bridge, actually lower than most of our low bridges, so if you're on the upper deck, make sure you're seated for this. If you look to the right of the guard gate, you'll see a gauge there. Almost all of the low structures have a gauge like this, so tall boats like us can check the water level and know whether or not we're going to be able to pass under a breaking structure before we get to it. Low guard gate, watch your heads please, everyone down. Logard Gate.
Well, where's the other one that was just here?
In the wintertime, they drain most of the canal. They drain whatever they can. Because when the water freezes and expands, it can break up the concrete parts in the Great Embankment, the locks, and other areas. There are some natural parts of the canal that can't be drained. Out in the Mohawk River area, there's a section in Newark and some other areas. But they drain whatever they can to help protect the canal. Colonial Belle typically goes to a dry dock in Lyons, New York, where we sit in the dry dock for the wintertime with a number of the other state boats.